The alien war leader moved through the ruins left in the wake of his attack. The destruction of the city had been a calculated gamble to suppress the rebellious primates. His species had seeded them for a specific purpose, but the Empire's neglect had allowed these creatures to develop revolting ideas and beliefs. His attention was drawn to a coughing primate, its red blood staining the floor between them. "Foolish creature," he sneered. "You should have perished, but resistance was always an engineered contingency in your genetics." The primate raised its head weakly, clutching a small communication device in its trembling hand. Through its pain, it managed to speak. "You ugly alien. Why did you attack us?" The alien chuckled darkly and activated his translator so the creature could understand. "Because you primitive beings had the misfortune of reaching your threshold and, ironically, failing to destroy yourselves in the process." He snarled, stepping closer to the wounded creature with his spear held tightly. "We planted your kind on this world, but when the time for your upliftment or subjugation came, our attention was elsewhere. Now we'll either dominate you through force or eliminate you as a failed experiment. So, we're just crops to you. Animals to be used and discarded at your will. Why not speak to us? Offer us a chance to explore the stars as allies." The primate gasped through bloodied teeth, its life slipping away. The alien scoffed, his expression filled with contempt. "Allies? Do you truly believe we'd consider you equals? The Empire has no use for your pathetic ideals of equality and democracy." He raised his spear to strike but paused, his anger flaring at the fierce defiance in the primate's eyes. "You think you can defeat us? Your kind, bred for war and violence, have grown weak and complacent in your pursuit of peace. Look at your world. Do you honestly believe your fragile peace and equality will lead to power and progress?" The primate coughed and wheezed, a weak chuckle escaping through its pain as its body teetered on the brink of death. "What's funnier," it rasped, "the idea that you think you can defeat us, or the fact that you attacked the most peaceful city on our planet, thinking it was our center of power?" It raised its communication device with a faint smile, turning it toward itself. "Ladies and gentlemen, give them hell. Make them regret ever attacking Tokyo," the primate declared before exhaling its final breath. Moments later, the alien systems lit up with a flood of alerts. Ordnance was incoming from 7 directions, including 2 nuclear warheads. His ground forces at the city's perimeter were under relentless assault from every angle, and kinetic strikes disabled the shields on 3 of his 6 orbital cruisers. A chilling thought crossed his mind had he been wrong. Perhaps these creatures had never truly surpassed their threshold. Had their peaceful facade been nothing more than a delay tactic for their inevitable retaliation? And if so, what terror had he unleashed? Before he could find an answer, a missile marked with a blue star tore through the sky, striking him with devastating precision and ending his life. The credit for the alien commander's death was claimed by a small but formidable nation, adding another significant victory to its growing list of triumphs against the invaders. The alien commander reclined on his throne, observing the activity on his bridge as his 5 officers and the tech thralls prepared for their final FTL jump. Their destination was a remote system, PS-328C, where his brother had mysteriously vanished. He was familiar with PS-328C, a system centered around a Class 5 death world, where his people had seeded a species of battle thrall primates for boreal warfare. That his brother, who had successfully subjugated over 600 races, had gone silent here was both baffling and suspicious. His sharp gaze caught a disturbance at the sensor station. Command demanded awareness, so he turned to the officer overseeing it. "Lieutenant Wastik, why are your tech thralls acting out of order?" he asked with the authority of his rank. The lieutenant turned, visibly uneasy. "Sir, we're detecting 40 arrival signals at our entry point. Echoes suggest they originated from PS-328C. Who dares to penetrate this deep into our empire?" he bellowed, enraged at the audacity of such an act. The lieutenant hesitated before responding, his voice tinged with fear. "Sir, of the 40 ships, only 6 match the registry of your brother's fleet." The commander leaned back, his mind racing. Protocol dictated that his brother should have dispatched a data runner with a message if something had gone awry. Suspicion grew as he straightened and gave a crisp order. "Prepare for combat." "Deploy all wings," he commanded, turning his attention to the tactical screen, which now displayed his fleet of 6 cruisers in the zone of the incoming vessels. As the unknown ships emerged, the tactical system attempted to identify them against known galactic profiles. For a moment, the shipboard AI struggled, its algorithms faltering before it suddenly resolved the data. Names of the unknown ships filled the screen. He didn't understand the references to Hiroshima or Nagasaki, nor the implications of a second coming or what might enrage a Tokyo. What infuriated him, however, were the renames of his brother's ships. The Golden Ark now bore the name Fool's Gambit, while the Black Reach had been rechristened Idiot's Resolve. Before he could issue the order to obliterate these impudent newcomers, his communications officer interrupted. "Sir, we're being hailed." "Sir?" "Put it through," he ordered, eager to discover which galactic power had fielded these unfamiliar ships. What appeared on the screen was entirely unexpected: a primate battle thrall from PS-328C. The transmission originated from a vessel half the size of his own. The creature, clad in a rudimentary pressure suit, grinned broadly, its sharp teeth bared. As it spoke, the computer rendered its words into the commander's tongue. "Greetings from Earth. You are approaching United Earth territories. We strongly advise you to turn back and request an emissary from your homeworld." His rage boiled over as he snarled in response. "Foolish monkey. Your fleet is no match for mine, even with my brother's ships in your ranks. Surrender now, and I may spare more than half your population." To the bridge crew's collective astonishment, the primate responded almost instantly, hinting that they too possessed real-time translation capabilities. "Did you just say brother?" Its voice sharpened, and its expression darkened. The computer flagged the shift as hate. The alien commander, momentarily unsettled by the primate's sudden change in demeanor, dismissed it with a wave of his hand. "My family's noble bloodline is none of your concern, primate. Surrender now, and I'll show mercy in carrying out my duties." The primate's frown deepened, and it briefly looked away, murmuring something inaudible before turning back to reply. "I am authorized to give you 2 more opportunities to either turn back or surrender. Failure to comply will be treated as an act of aggression and answered accordingly." "How dare you order me to surrender or retreat?" he bellowed, his fury mounting. These insolent primates were testing his patience, daring to address him as if they were equals. "This is your final warning. Surrender or leave immediately. United Earth and its territories are closed to your empire. If you refuse, it will be considered a formal declaration of war with intent to annihilate, and you will be met with equivalent force. You have 2 hours to comply." "Watanabe out." With that, the primate disconnected. The alien fleet's sensors lit up with power surges from the opposing ships, signaling they were readying for battle. The commander stared at the screen in disbelief, outraged that a thrall species dared to cut him off so dismissively. Their audacity to insult his lineage fueled his growing hatred. "Destroy them all," he growled through clenched teeth. "Make it quick. Leave none alive." The bridge sprang into action, issuing orders to execute their standard attack formations. The cruisers advanced, protected by their shieldcraft escorts as they moved into position. The commander's ears perked up in anticipation of the carnage, and his tail lashed with excitement at the thought of obliterating the primate's feeble fleet. His glee was short-lived. A violent jolt threw him to the ground as his ship shuddered under an unexpected impact. The motion dampeners barely managed to stabilize the sudden deceleration. Pulling himself up, he glanced at the status display and froze. The reverse engines had been obliterated, and the wreckage of 50 shieldcraft escorts floated lifelessly in space. What just happened? He roared, rage and confusion mixing in his voice. Sir, we were struck by 3 kinetic projectiles, the engineering officer stammered, panic evident in his tone. Our reverse engines are destroyed, and we're losing atmosphere across decks 3 to 11. His neural uplink flared as he frantically coordinated damage control teams. Sir, they also hit the shield reactor. It's offline. Engage FTL now. Get us out, the commander began to shout, but his words were cut short as another projectile struck the main reactor. The ship disintegrated in a massive explosion of plasma, silencing him and his fleet for good.